What is up, YouTube? Today we are going to be taking Frank the Tank Lamball through a boss gauntlet that I kind of figured out on my own. It does not incorporate any bosses in caves, just because I feel like the pals get a little glitchy when you go inside of those caves. Now, we are going to be evaluating every pal based on how far they can progress within these 15 boss pals and the time in which they can do it. Obviously, some are going to get farther in both categories, but we're starting off with like little Frank the Tank here. He has 3 moves: Electric Ball, Pow Blast, and Power Bomb. Now, Power Bomb and Pow Blast, he is actually going to be getting Stab, which is 20% in Pow World, so those moves are going to be, doing a little bit more than Electric Ball. Pow Blast has a base power of 150, so 20% of that is like 400 or 500. My math is perfectly accurate, so don't even try and check that. But the first boss in the gauntlet is going to be Chillet. Obviously, Frank is, level 60, so he just absolutely decks Chillet. And the first few bosses, they're going to be pretty easy. Frank is going to just run a train through, all these guys until they start getting, into the level 30 range. But we are off to fight the Mud, and I accidentally throw out Jet Dragon, and he pops the Mud for about half his health, which is unfortunate, but since it's early, I was thinking, you know what, it's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. And Frank just cleaned up the Mud, so now we're off to the next boss fight. And I should say that Lamball is level 60, because I didn't really know how to regulate the experience between these bosses. Maybe I'll go back and see if we can do same level fights, but for now, I'm just taking maxed out level pals through all these bosses. So they're just gonna kind of wreck these early guys, like I said earlier. Now we're fighting Azarobe, and Lamball is actually doing pretty good. Sometimes he can get a little glitchy and dance around, and that is because all of his moves are distance moves. So if a pal gets close to Lamball, instead of attacking, he'll just throw a fit and start dancing around, and then I have to backtrack and get him far enough away from the pal so he'll start attacking again. But we are now off to pal number 4, which is going to be Grintail. And Grintail is the same level as Azarobe, so it's going to be a little bit of the same, but I really like Grintail's design, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to incorporate him in these runs, just because he's so cool. Plus, he has this body slam move that is just so funny to watch, right there. Body slam! It just makes all these pals roll back if they don't have enough, what's the word? Resistance to that. What's the Elden Ring thing where people get hit? Poise, yeah. He just, Lamball or Frank doesn't have enough poise to resist that body slam. But anyway, see, he's dancing around now. So now I have to pull him away from Grintail because Grintail has gotten too close and he just refuses to attack. So when he does this, it's gonna waste a little bit of time in the run. So I'm thinking at this point, pals that have both short and long range are gonna be getting through this a lot more efficiently than Lamball. And we're just gonna have to keep seeing, if Lamball continues to have a fit if he gets too close. And I summon him right here and he does not want to attack immediately. But, that's okay. We'll just backtrack and see what Bronze Cherry has in store for Lamball. And he's just kind of dancing around again. And I command him to attack right there, which I don't think helped at all. And he just makes an orb above his head, his power bomb, and he doesn't, he's like, I don't need to fire this off right now. And he does a little step to the right, and then he gets another one off. But Bronze Cherry is just chucking mud in this guy's face, and Lamball is just taking it. He does not care at all. Not moving. you know, you gotta admire this guy's resilience. I think he's just playing with Ron Cherry. Like, he knows he's gonna win, so he's just like, yeah, shoot me with whatever you got. I don't care, man. Ron Cherry is just chucking razor leaves, all kinds of stuff with this guy. And right there, I'm debating on whether or not I try and do another command, because Lamball is just not moving much. And I think it might just be the distance. Who knows? Look, he's cruising along. Ron Cherry's at about a quarter health at this point, and Lamball just refuses to attack. I don't know what his problem is. Maybe his attack moves are refreshing, or the distance isn't right. Lamball wants to be perfectly, you know, 20 yards from this guy at all times, and if he's further or closer, he just doesn't want to attack. He's like, Pal Sensei, please get me out of this situation. Why are you making me fight all the pals in a row? I will be honest, his sane right now is at 0. I don't know. I don't really understand the sane system as it goes into the battles. I guess fighting, 5 pals in a row isn't fun. I think it's fun, but Lamball, we actually have to take him back to base, and I want to heal him up in the PAL box before we actually go to our next boss, which he probably could have taken out, or he definitely could have taken him out without having to go back and heal, but I just wanted to make sure, because if he did die, then that would add more time to the run. Obviously backtracking to base is going to add a little more time as well. So, I don't know. It's a double-edged sword, and we're going to figure it out as we go along. The next boss is going to be King Paka, and he is always accompanied by these tiny little alpacas, which, I do my best to fly by and just roast with my assault rifle to clear him out of Big Frank's way before he gets involved with King Paka. Now, King Paka has a body slam move like Rintail that just decimates Lamball, and because his poise isn't great, he is just gonna, roll around. And luckily, you saw King Paka got really close to Lamball there, and Lamball did not like that and refused to attack, but King Paka backtracked and Lamball fired off some shots, which is good. And all these moves that do knock Lamball back create distance, which is also kind of helpful because it prevents him from dancing around like a lunatic. And he is about to just pow blast. Oh no! I think if he got that off, he probably would have killed King Paka. Not that it matters, because King Paka is not really doing a whole lot of damage to him right now. But yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up this King Paka fight. Oh, and right there, I accidentally pulled him back. If he body slammed him, it probably would have pushed Lamball back far enough that he probably would have attacked again. That's okay. We're going to move on to the next boss, which is going to be our first level 30 boss. This blue dragon looking guy. I'm probably butchering his name. Elfindran? Elfindran? Yeah, that's right. And don't fact check that at all. It's definitely what I just said. So it's going to be interesting to see the amount of damage Blue Dragon here can do to Lamball, since he is 7 levels higher than the past bosses. But he is just going to continue to spam this whirlwind move at Lamball, and he is right up in his face right now. So, and they just start dancing around because when is not an appropriate time to dance, and because Lamball is so close, his little whirlwind moves are completely missing. And then there's some freaking lunatic firing razor leaves at Eldimperan for no reason at all. So that was good. Try to get him out of the way. And because El Dimperan has such close range moves, he keeps getting about 2 feet away from Lamball, preventing a Lamball from firing off basically anything. But he's actually kind of getting through this dude pretty well. And he finishes him off right there. So that's good. And then we're off to the next guy in the boss gauntlet, who is going to be Mossandra Lux. Now this is kind of when stuff starts to get a little cranked up. Mossandra has, what is it, Mossanda? Mossanda? There's no R in there. I don't know what I'm saying. Oh man, I accidentally pulled Lamball back right as he was about to just mollywop Lamball right in the face. So I feel bad about that. And during this run, like so many times Lamball, you know, just kind of stands around. But that's okay. And right now they just start dancing because, you know, why not? And Mossanda Lux just mollywops Frank right there, which is good because it creates distance between the two and allows Frank to fire off some more moves. And that Star Raptor guy was just eyeballing this one across the map, so I had to take care of that dummy. I feel like he would have interfered if we didn't take care of him right there. And I have to re-summon Lamball because he starts dancing around again. And at this point I'm thinking all of his best moves are equipped, but maybe I should find a move in his arsenal that, even if it's worse, will allow him to attack at close range. I don't know if that would be more beneficial than the dancing or more efficient. So who knows? We're not going to do it right now. That's just something I was thinking about as we were progressing through. And Lamball, you know, was doing pretty well. For some reason, Mossanda aggroed me right there and was about to kick my butt, but I backed up, and then he aggroed Lamball again, so that was good. And that Pow Blast actually did a ton of damage to Mossandra, and we're at about, you know, half health right now, which, you know, he's doing a little work to our little Frank the Tank guy. However, one more power bomb, and yeah, that should pretty much wrap it up. And because he just did so much damage to Frank, who is definitely a tank, we're gonna have to backtrack to base and throw him in the POW box to heal him up before the next fight. However, I cut that out of the video just because, you know, it's not that interesting. And, you know, I know you guys have a ton to do all the time, and I don't want to waste your time with stupid healing videos in POW boxes. And we're off to another electric type Univolt. And Univolt and Mossanda are pretty similar. Mossanda has a little bit more health, but I feel like Univolt, his attacks kind of just hit harder. So I put Univolt after Mossanda in the gauntlet just because I feel like Univolt can do more damage and potentially kill a POW better than Mossanda. Especially this laser move. Luckily, Frank takes out his poise right there with that power bomb. But this is another problem with Univolt, just like Mossanda, is he has a ton of close range moves that just piss Frank off, and he just starts having a temper tantrum and will not attack until I pull him back and, you know, create some distance between the two. And I kind of want to see how much this laser beam does right here. Yeah, so Univolt, I think I did about 300 damage, is just, you know, kind of a better damage output than Mossanda. So that's kind of why he's in this spot in the gauntlet. But yeah, as you can see, I don't think Lamball is going to die, which is you know, kind of understandable. He's level 60, but, you know, he's doing a little work for a Lamball. We're at about a quarter health at this point. Getting there. Luckily, this running attack and some of his other attacks kind of create distance and allow the Lamball to continue to attack. And that lightning laser beam just absolutely decks Frank. But one more Powerball right here. And yeah, that'll about wrap it up. But because there was so much damage done to Lamball, we're going to have to backtrack to the base again, heal up, and now we're off to the next boss, which is going to be Elizabeth. Now, Elizabeth was kind of hard to put in this run because he doesn't have much health, but he just fires off abilities like a freaking psycho. And they do quite a bit, and he's always accompanied by these three, you know, his three little bee minions right here. But we'll see just how far, you know, Lamball can get into this. And so Pow Blast is a beam-based move. All these beam-based moves like Hydro Pump and what is it, Solar Beam move, they kind of suck because they'll hit the POW in the center and then kind of miss a ton. They'll hit it for like 2 out of, I don't know, like 10 hit points or whatever it is. Obviously the last 2 Frank has fired off have hit Elizabeth for a lot, which is good. So I guess his center is, you know, hittable, but sometimes, you know, the POW Blast moves will not, you know, hit POWs very well. Even though they have base powers of 150, I do not find them good at all. So whenever I'm giving my POWs Devil Fruits, I will never give them these blast moves. And for, you know, there's going to be some other runs where we take Frank back out when he's all juiced up on trend, and we're going to see how far he can get with more POWs, but I'm trying to figure out if we even use Devil Fruits or if we stick with these base attacks that they have, because there are some pretty freaking OP Devil Fruits out there. And right now I've been yapping, but Frank is like 10% health and Elizabeth, they were both so low, and Frank almost ate it right there. So, but he gets the job done, and we're gonna have to backtrack to base again, heal up, and we're off to the next boss, which is Bronze Cherry Aqua. And as I've said, well, yeah, I'm just gonna climb this root system right here because, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm not featuring any bosses from caves in this run, just because I think the caves can be a little wonky, and I don't know, I just haven't had good experience fighting inside of them. So unfortunately, we're not going to fight cool bosses like, really, Warsect. He's pretty sweet. I kind of regret, not regret, but I wish I could have fought him. But, you know, all these other guys are pretty cool. But yeah, so see, look, Pow Blast just did maybe hit him for 2 markers right there, and it barely did any damage. And that's the problem with these freaking Pow Blast moves. I don't know what is going on, but sometimes they just completely miss. Sometimes they hit. They're just really inconsistent, and it's not going to help Lamball get through this big boy. And Bronze Cherry, being at this point in the run, I put him here because his health is pretty substantial, and he does really good damage with like this root move he just used. So it's, I don't know, I think him and Elizabeth are pretty even. He does do this like funny body slam move that creates space for Lamball, which is good because obviously Lamball has all these long range moves that he will not use if Bronze Cherry Aqua gets too close. But yeah, Frank is moving right along right now, which is actually kind of surprising, and he's doing substantially better than he was doing against Elizabeth, and he actually connects there with, I feel like a full Pow Blast instead of getting just like a 2-hit marker. Now that root move is really freaking good. Oh man, here we go. Ron Cherry just like traps him in a corner right there, and I have to re-summon him because I was like, there's no way this dummy is gonna attack right now. And you know, he gets pissed off at me. Obviously, he's like, hey, why didn't you let me handle it? And he refuses to attack right there. But I think if he connects with this last, oh my gosh, it didn't. It hit him for like 2 markers again. These Pow Blast moves are just not good, man. And ladies. Maybe. Probably no ladies. But we're going to do one more Power Bomb right there. Scoop up all the goodies. And then go back to base. Heal up. And now we are kind of in the hard section. And we're going to go try and fight Mammorest with our little boy right here. Now, obviously, the difficulty between Mammorest and Broncherry, you know, is pretty significant. Mammorest being level 38, 5k health pretty much. Yeah, I'm not optimistic with this fight. But Mammorest has, you know, this Earthquake move. He has this Seed move. Especially the Earthquake move, being on a hill like this, it is susceptible to missing. Look, it just went right over a little lamb, or a little Frank's head right there. I gotta stop calling him Lamball. It's Frank the freaking tank. I mean, look at this guy rolling around like a roly-poly-oly right there, because he's a unit. I will say, once he gets juiced out on, you know, Dive Ball and Trend, I'm not saying he's gonna lose here. We're gonna come back and absolutely demolish this Yo-Yo so that, you know, Frank can get his confidence back up. But here's another issue. Mammorest loves spamming that Bullet Seed move, and Frank is like, you're too close to me. Don't touch me there, that's my no-no square. And he backs off. Luckily, you know, that Power Bomb pushed Frank pretty far back, and he is able to fire off some more moves before Mammorest closes the distance and just pisses him off again. So, yeah, it's not looking good. And at this point, I'm like, even if, or when Frank dies, he didn't even do half of Mammorest's health, so I don't think there's even a point in coming back and trying to get better RNG. So this is pretty much gonna wrap it up, but he actually smacks Mammorest right there with the Pow Blast that actually connects, which, you know, obviously is rare from that Broncherry Aqua fight. You can see that sometimes it only ticks him for 2, but yeah. Poor little Frank, he goes down. Mammorest barely hurt, about half health right there. So that's pretty much gonna wrap up the run for Lamball. I'm thinking, you know what, he's not gonna be able to put this guy down if he only did half health. So he made it through 13 bosses, 13 of the 15 that we were hoping to get through in a time of about 32:30. So yeah, we'll just see how that stacks up as we move along. I'm gonna guess probably not good, because Lamball liked to dance around because his moves were long range. But yeah, peace. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next video next Sunday.